Hell's Bells, who called, not called, who donated tonight and helped reach our goal in the torture of our crew. So thank you, Hell's Bells, for helping us with that tonight. Super appreciate it. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. I'm more than willing to help out because, as a sadistic person, I love watching people torture themselves. So it was a good time.
Yeah, we're really doing good for the whole atheist name here by showing how much we're willing to torture our friends for monetary donations. But it's for a good cause, guys. It's for a good cause. Okay. And I'll rest my hat on that. But anyway, Hell's Bells, what do you got for us tonight?
So I like occasionally through the ether, there will be like a conspiracy theory that either I forgot about or it is old to some people, new to me, or it's whatever's, around the zeitgeist. And I've been on a Kubrick thing right now with the moon landing and that shit. So that's even though I've been down this road before, I'm going down it again. So I was wondering if there's any current conspiracy theories, things that, you are I haven't thought about this for a while, or it's new to you that you're kind of digging right now.
Honestly, just now talking about Atlantis, I forgot how much I love Atlantis conspiracy theories because I don't think people realize how far the Atlantis stuff really goes. I think when a lot of people think of Atlantis, they think of the Disney movie or, some Greeks some time ago, wrote about Atlantis or whatever. And that's the extent of it. But no, Atlantis gets fucking crazy. It gets really deep. And there's so many things. Atlantis is its own kind of Gaza pyramids in a way, where people have all kinds of ideas about where the origin of Atlantis is, who's being occupied there, what's it doing right now. I mean, entire movies can be made about the plot lines that people come up with for it. So Atlantis is an underrated one, in my opinion. What about you, Kelley?
Yeah, totally. I've actually seen a pretty viable theory for what Atlantis was. People have put together. No, seriously,
pretty viable. What do you mean?
And it wasn't like a big civilization. It was like an island that may have been there and now is not there anymore. Maybe because of an earthquake or something off the coast of Ireland. And there are shelves that are just below the surface of the water that may have once been an island before an earthquake. So I'm not saying that was Atlantis per se, but it may be something that started the idea of that loss of an island, just like Santorini in the Mediterranean, which is where I think really the idea of Atlantis came from, was that from that island blowing up. So
well, I mean, you could say that about any island that's sunk could be an inspiration for Atlantis, though. I feel like.
Yeah, right. I get that. That's why I think Santorini actually was, though, because it was right there. It was part of the Greek world. It's an Aegean island. 3/4 of the island was destroyed, boom, all at once. We think it's what created the tidal waves that messed up the Minoan civilization on Crete. So there's actual historical evidence for that happening that might have created the legend of Atlantis, right? And what I'm saying with the one with the island off the coast of Ireland, somebody actually put together a somewhat viable hypothesis, right? That's actually based on real stuff instead of bullshit, like the rings down in North Africa, down in the middle of the desert that people think might be Atlantis. So.
You were going to say something, Hell's Bells.
I was going to say, it sounds like the flood, a natural phenomenon, causing a myth to kind of form about, something that they're just hey, we don't know how this happened. Let's write it down. And, and then the story just catches on, that endless game of telephone we're always playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is, you guys know there's a specific origin to Atlantis, though, right? It's not just a thing that existed in a culture.
No, it was Homer wrote about it.
It was in Plato's Republic. Yeah, it's in Plato's Republic.
No, right? It's not in Plato's Republic. It's in his other works.
I knew Plato wrote about it.
Plato did wrote about it. But he wrote about it specifically as a fictional allegory. And there's people that have talked about this and said, yeah, this is intended as a work of fiction. You know, like it's not like one of those things, because the flood stuff's different. The flood thing, here's why I think it's different, is because there are cultures that obviously talk about it as a folk story, and they may or may not have actually believed that's true. Like when Plato was writing about it, there's no doubt in my mind that he thought it wasn't real, like because he made it up as part of like his narrative, right? It would be like saying like, I think I don't know, that Harry Potter, maybe that J.K. Rowling thought Harry Potter was kind of real. It's like, no, that was obviously intended to be fictional. Like that's what we're getting with Atlantis,
right.
I think. You know.
Right.
But anyway,
Yeah.
interjected with my opinion, of course. But regardless, Atlantis is crazy. Some crazy stuff with Atlantis. Lots of
like you said
there
was a rabbit hole, and this is definitely a fucking rabbit hole. So
yeah. No, Atlantis is underrated. But anyway, what about you, Hellsbell? Sounds like you've been thinking about some conspiracies recently, or resurfaced.
Well,
some.
I've been. Well, I'm very into like this whole like mythos around like Kubrick right now. It's probably because like I'm going through a thing, but and all the conspiracy theories of people thinking that he had like hidden messages in his films and that Hollywood was against him and Illuminati, like, you know, Freemason bullshit that surrounded him. It's very interesting. Super really interesting. And I'm just like, maybe people just don't understand art. I don't know.
I think like the Kubrick stuff's kind of weird because there's like one of my favorite things about the Kubrick thing that comes to mind is just like the level of commentary that comes with every single shot. Like I think there is one thing I saw one time in a Kubrick documentary, and maybe you saw the same one, where it was in The Shining, and there is a scene where I think Jack Nicholson or whatever like pulls out a can because he's looking at the food pantry, and there's a Native American person on the can as like part of the brand.
Oh my God, yes. Was it the name like 2036 or something like that? Like
well people are saying it's like, oh, that's a commentary on like a white, you know, a genocide of the Native Americans or something. Like, you know, like some sort of like really deep political thing. It's just like, or maybe it's just like a label on a can. Like, I don't know. The Kubrick stuff's like people go real weird with that real quick. And sometimes artists just make stuff because it looks cool. I don't think it has to have a deeper meaning, but that people do about every single series out there, right? Kubrick is it a special case because he's got his own following.
It is. I was just kind of thinking about it because, like, as you said, it, you know, sometimes a can's just a can. And it is very interesting where people put so much thought, and like Kubrick, a lot of his films are based on like previous people's work, like their books and stuff like that. So it's not even original ideas he's coming up with, but they think they're original ideas. I'm like, no, we're not reinventing the wheel, man. It's all the same stuff.
Yeah. The thing about communication is you want people to understand your messages probably. And like, maybe you don't have messages meant for all audiences, and that's fine. But who the hell was Kubrick trying to talk to? And what was he trying to say? I don't know. There's so many people that say so many different things about Kubrick stuff. It's like, I don't even know. I don't even know what the man was trying to say in the first place, you know? So I think as a guy who's in movies, he would have a better idea of how to give ideas out to people, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. Maybe he had a master plan. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I guess I haven't thought about Kubrick stuff in a while.
I just think they're fun. Like I love going down these little thought trails every now and again, just so I can be like, okay, like, all right, yep. There's some interesting thought processes here that I have not considered. It kind of just gives me a broader perspective because, quick story, we had the RFR excursion in September, and Dr. Ben was there, and he did a discussion on how you question people about their beliefs. And I had to place someone that believed that the pyramids were built by aliens. So that was interesting. So it was very, it's a very weird perspective as someone used to think and like woo-woo stuff and go back to that mindset and try to put myself back into the mind of someone that believes like, that aliens built the pyramids. It is a very, I didn't have that particular perspective, but I have some definitely interesting ones that you both know about. So I just thought it was a very good exercise to get you kind of into that mindset again. And it's just, I think it's a little bit of an after effect of that.
Yeah.
It is weird going back, right? And listening to somebody that sounded just like you did 20 years ago and just thinking, man, how wrapped up I was in bullshit and the inability to really think critically or think about the details, as I was talking about earlier. I didn't care about how the energy worked. I just knew there was energy coming off of these crystals, right? So, and the more, like I said, what got me out of it was finding I was wanting to learn about that energy. How is it working? How is it affecting the body? And actually trying to do experiments with friends who are supposed to be healed by these things, and it wasn't working. So I think it's I think it's really kind of fun to put yourself though back in that mindset and to see somebody. Dan, I think it would be probably the equivalent of you of talking to a hardcore Christian again and remembering that mindset you were in, So
yeah, I grew up
I
more
don't know if
distant.
that's as fun for you as it is for me with the woo stuff, but
Yeah, I grow more distant from that mindset every day, and it's harder. It becomes harder to remember what it was like to think in that way because my brain just doesn't work that way anymore. It's honestly, it sounds
it is very
infantilizing to
hard.
myself, but it is kind of trying to think about like how did my brain work when I was 5, right? Like I don't know. I can only kind of imagine. I can
That
think
was
about some thoughts I had, but I'm never going to reach that same cognitive state. My cognitive state when I was a Christian is just so radically different from where I'm at now. And part of that's just growing up, but also like I just can't think in the same trappings anymore, right? You were going to say something, Hell's Bells.
No, I was going to say that, like, I agree, because when I was trying to put myself back there, I had to really think about it. Like, what did I sound like? And why did, like, it's because basically, Ben was teaching people street epistemology, which was really cool. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take on, like, this conspiracy theorist, persona. And it was one of those things that I really had to think about saying things that I was just like, you telling me more, it's a very strange feeling.
Oh, yeah, we broke up with you just a little bit, Hell's Bells, but I think we got the gist of what you were saying there. Yeah, it sounds like it was a strange feeling for you to re-encounter some of those beliefs, and I agree. It is very strange and very surreal. And it sucks. It sucks that we have to be the citizen fucking auditors of people's fucking beliefs. Like I don't like auditing people necessarily. It's just like I want to protect people from bullshit. That's how I feel about it. It's just like I don't want people to fall down the same bullshit logic that I fell down. That at least in the Christianity sense, absolutely negatively impacted my life and those around me. And there's very much an arguable case for more general conspiracy theories too. But in any case, Hell's Bells, we are at the end of tonight's show here, so I am going to let you go now. Anything else you wanted to say before we do let you go?
No, I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend, and everybody be kind and give someone a compliment and raise hell. And
I like
hail Stephen.
I like it. Thank you, Hell's Bells. Great message. Great message. I co-sign. I think Kelley does too. I want to say.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk to Helen.